Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As you guys know, bullying is a big problem in the country, and especially impacting a lot of Muslim kids around the country, especially if they go to non-Muslim schools. But it happens in Muslim schools as well. So we prepared this workshop to train students like yourselves to be prepared. So the workshop is basically in two sections. The first section, I'll be speaking to you guys, okay? I'll be speaking to the kids, and in the second section, I'll be speaking to the parents. Okay, so let's begin, inshallah, since we started a little late. Okay, so somebody tell me, what is bullying? What is the definition of bullying? Yes. That's a type of bullying. I want the definition. Yes. Again, yeah, that's a type of bullying, but I want the definition. That's not a definition. Yes.
Bullying is like picking on a certain individual or group of people based on like a certain characteristic or lifestyle.
Okay, but that's still not a definition. That's a type of bullying. Yes, last one.
Bullying, it's people just being mean and they're not nice.
Okay, good. Again, it's type of bullying. Okay, so we'll get into the definition. So this is the official definition of bullying according to experts, okay? So bullying is basically unwanted or aggressive behavior that includes three things, okay? Hostile intent or environment. Hostile intent or not accident. What do you think that means? Somebody tell me. What does that mean? Yes.
It means like they meant to insult you or just hurt you in the way that they did it.
Exactly. It means they did it. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake.
Farther from your mouth.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay. So it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a miscommunication. Somebody intentionally wants to psychologically or physically cause you harm somehow. Okay? So that's the first condition. The second condition, an imbalance of power. What does that mean? Yes.
When someone bullies you, you have more power.
So the one who's bullying you has some sort of power over you. Yes. So they have some sort of power. It could be either strength, maybe they're physically stronger than you, or it could be popularity, okay? Because social status is a type of power, right? They have more friends than you, okay? They have more people who follow them than you. They have more people who look up to them than you. So that's like even popularity is a type of power. Or it could also be that they have some information about your private life, and that they use that in order to basically put you down. If you don't give me this or don't do this, I'll send out like a message on social media telling people that you have such and such problems in your family or things like that. So they have some sort of personal information about you. So that's a sort of power as well, right? So that's the second condition. The last condition is that it's repetition. Okay, it happens again and again and again. It doesn't stop. Okay, so it's not like it happened one time and it never happened again. It happens. It could be either weekly, daily, monthly, but whatever it is, it just doesn't stop. It just continues to happen over and over and over again. So this is the proper definition of bullying. Any questions before we go forward? Okay. Okay, now give me the types of bullying. So I'll give you a hint. There are like basically 4 different types, generally speaking. So give me the types. Yes.
Cyberbullying?
Yes, cyberbullying is one. Another one. Yes, in the back. Being mean, okay, but give me the broader category. Yes.
Physical bullying?
Yes, physical bullying. That's 2. Yes.
Emotional?
I'm sorry?
Emotional?
Emotional bullying. Okay, that could be good. Yes. Yes, verbal bullying. Last one. Anything else? Yes. Yes, social bullying. Okay, good. We have them all. So, what is verbal? It's obvious, right? Teasing, name calling, inappropriate comments, taunting, threatening, stuff like that, right? I'm keep having to actually turn around. I was supposed to see it here, but I can't see it here. Okay, social bullying. So, give me an example of social. How do you socially bully someone? How do you socially bully someone? Yes. That's cyber. How do you socially bully someone? Yes. Calling them out in public. Yes, okay. Yes.
Saying something that's not true about them to their friends.
Okay, that could be as well. Yes. Yes.
Naming people names.
Yes, calling people names. Oh, that's verbal, actually. That's verbal bullying. So I'll give you another popular example of social bullying. So somebody comes to you and says, a group of people, he said, you can come to my party, you can come to my party, you can't, but you can come to my party. See that, what he did, right? Or he skips over him or over her somehow, right? So that's socially bullying. What is the point of social bullying? What is the point? What is the objective?
To exclude someone.
To exclude someone, yes, but what are you trying to obtain? Huh? What are you trying to do to them? What are you trying to do to them?
Make them feel bad.
Yeah, make them feel bad, right? Remember the definition we said in the beginning, right? That the person intentionally wants to cause the person harm, right? So that's the important thing to remember. So that's social bullying. Physical is obviously very, hitting, spitting, pushing, and tripping, stuff like that. That's very obvious, right? Okay, cyberbullying. What is cyberbullying? Yes, in the back. Yes.
When you like text something bad to somebody.
Right, when you text somebody something bad. Yes. Anything else? Yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear. Oh, say it again.
Like if you name call somebody or tease somebody or threaten them on like the internet.
Okay. Good. So it basically is everything that we just talked about, but it happens in the online world. Okay, it happens over social media. Could happen on the internet, on some forum. Okay, or things like that. So I have some examples here: testing, forums, gaming. It also includes sharing personal or private information about someone online. That's also a form of bullying. Because, again, if somebody does share some personal information about your life in order to cause you harm, either psychologically or emotionally, then that's cyberbullying as well. Okay, so what do you think I'm going to talk about in this slide? Look at the title. What do you think I'm going to talk about? Somebody give me a hint. What am I going to talk about?
Risk factors.
Risk factors, okay. Give me some more details. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Effects of bullying. Effects of bullying.
No. That's actually that's a different slide. Yes. Say it louder, please. Close. No. Yes.
Like what risking sometimes I'm just gonna say risk of
Okay. Last chance. Your last one. Yes. No. Okay. So on this slide. Okay. Is it true or not? Does everyone in the school get bullied? No, right? So there are certain individuals that get bullied, right? So obviously bullies are looking for certain qualities in their victims, yes or no?
Yeah.
So this slide talks about what research shows, that there are certain qualities that bullies look for in their victims, okay? So kids who have these qualities are more likely to be bullied. That doesn't mean it's their fault. This is important to remember. It's not their fault, but it means that this is something that attracts a bully to the victim, okay? Okay, students who are perceived to be different from their peers, okay? So somehow you're different from the ordinary class or in your school. Maybe it's a sister who wears a hijab, for example, right? Or it's maybe, somebody who's overweight, maybe, okay? Or somebody who might be maybe too skinny, or someone who basically looks a different way. Somehow they're different from the majority of the school people in the school, okay? Or it could be somebody who's handicapped, for example, in the school. So they're more likely to get bullied. Somehow they're different from the rest of the school. Students belonging to a particular ethnic or religious minority, and this is what we hear about all the time, right? About like Muslim sisters being, their hijab being, put down or pulled down, or Muslim boys being called terrorists, for example. Okay, so this is where that comes from. Okay, because they're ethnically or religiously minorities. Students who are perceived to be weak or have low self-esteem. Okay. So this is very important. Why do you think this particular quality is so important to a bully? Why is this particular quality so important? Because almost all kids who are bullied, they have this problem. They have low self-esteem and they have low self-confidence. Why is this so attractive to a bully?
Because they don't say anything back or tell teacher anything.
Yes, it's because they never stand up for themselves. They never get help, okay? And they let the bullying continue, okay? And that's why this particular quality is very common amongst all victims of bullying, because they never get help. By the way, before I continue, yes?
Isn't that a result of bullying?
No. Sometimes it can be, yes. It can be, but usually the kid has already self-esteem issues or low confidence issues. I mean, they don't know how to stand up for them. I have a separate slide on parents, on how to raise kids. Because some kids are just naturally have low self-confidence. They need to be built. As parents, we have to work on them to build that self-confidence. So some kids are naturally confident. Other kids are naturally have low self-confidence. Okay, and there's factors for that. Some kids naturally have low self-confidence. Other kids are caused to have low self-confidence. Sometimes because of the situation of what's going on in the house. Maybe the parents are fighting all the time. Maybe they're abusive to the child for whatever reason. But there's something causes the child to have low self-confidence. Okay, before I continue, what is low self-esteem? What is self-esteem? Yes.
As in, like, isn't low self-esteem like your confidence in yourself, or like what you think of yourself?
Yes, exactly. It's how a person perceives themselves. Like, somebody with a low self-esteem, for example, says, I am too fat, I am too ugly, I am too this, I am too that, I'm not good enough, I'm not. So that's like self-esteem. Somebody, how they think about themselves. Okay. So kids who have low self-esteem are more likely to. That's why actually when low self-esteem kids get picked on and bullied, one of the reasons they do not get help is because they think they deserve it, because they think that's how they are. That whatever the bully is telling them is true. So that's why it's a problem. Okay, obviously students who have few friends or who are unpopular, obviously they are more likely to get bullied as well, because they don't have any social support. Okay, they don't have any social support. Okay, so what do you think I'm going to talk about in this slide? Yes. I'm sorry? Yes, good. So the reasons of bullying, okay? Like why kids bully? Why would a child one child think it's okay to make the life of another child miserable? Like make them feel bad? Like what do you think? Why is that? What's causing the bully to behave that way? Yes.
Maybe so they can get fame.
They can what?
They can get fame.
They can get fame, okay, yes.
Maybe they want to like revenge or something, like mostly bullies, like something bad happens to them, and they want to get them back for doing the bad thing.
Okay, yes.
That person might have got paid they were not really a gangster, but then they got better. They wanted to show because they're also.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yes.
Someone had to say, someone took a baseball swing and a black.
Okay, good. Yes.
They just want to assert dominance.
Okay, they want to show their dominance. Okay. So all these things are good. They're good factors. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about. So some of you guys have some of the things that I mentioned on this slide. The others are a bit new, but yeah, all of those are different factors. Yes, those do cause it to happen. But here are the things which are most common. Okay. Why kids bully? So all children, all kids, they require attention, okay, from their parents, okay? It's like a natural thing that kids want. So when kids don't get enough attention at home, what they do is they lash out, they scream, right? They hit to try to get attention. So what happens is when a child goes to school, they've never learned to get any attention in any other way. So what happens is the same behavior that they learned at school, at home, they try to do it at school as well. They want to get attention, okay? So one of the reasons is because they have an upbringing of lack of attention, so they're trying to get the same type of attention at school because that's the only way they know how to get attention. Unstable home environment. What do you think that means? What does that mean?
Like maybe your parents are fighting.
Yes, maybe your parents are fighting. Something else?
Drug addict parents.
Okay, drug addict parent. They have drug abuse. Okay, yes. Okay, so verbally abusive parents or like physically abusive parents. Yes. Divorced parents. Okay, yes.
We don't even have any parents.
Okay, yeah, so that could be a pressure as well. Yes. The belt? Okay, the belt. Yes. So all those things are good. Yeah. So something's happening in the house. Okay, it could be something related to their related to their family. Okay, or it could be something. Maybe sometimes what it is, a kid comes from a very poor atmosphere, and he's like working like 7 hours right after school, so he's always stressed out, or she's always stressed out. So they're basically lashing out at school because of it. So because they're under a lot of pressure. Okay, so sometimes bullies are victims themselves. Okay, sometime in their life they were bullied in a very severe way, and because of that, they start bullying other kids as well. And sometimes the bully is actually the older sibling in the house. That's why parents have to watch out to make sure your older kids are not bullying their younger kids, because sometimes they will repeat that behavior when they go to school. So because their older brother or sister bullies them, they go to school and they bully other kids who are younger and weaker than them as well. A bad role model. So sometimes kids look up to their older siblings, right? And then they see their older siblings who are picking on other kids. So they may not pick on them, but they pick on other kids because they want to be like their older siblings. They want to do the same thing because they think it's the cool thing to do or the right thing to do. And sometimes, you know who the bully is? It's actually the father or the mother who's bullying other people or other kids or other parents. So when they go to school, they do the same thing. Okay? So oftentimes when we hear about, like small kids like saying like racist things about African Americans, for example, or about Muslims, it's most likely that they've seen it from their parents. Most likely they've seen that type of bullying coming from their parents. Maybe their parents saw somebody who's a Muslim or African American on the TV screen and they said something racist or something Islamophobic, so they copy that behavior when they go to school. Okay, so some kids, but just by their nature, they're dominating, okay? And they're like aggressive by nature. In that case, they need therapy, okay? In that case, the parents have to get them therapy and counseling to get them to calm down and basically deal with their feelings and whatever they're emotionally dealing with. And sometimes, somebody mentioned this, sometimes it's because they want to fit in with the crowd, because there are other people in school who are doing the same, the type of people that they want to hang out with, they're doing that type of behavior, so they want to copycat that same behavior. To be accepted in that group, they have to behave like the group, okay? So that's one of the reasons that they may bully as well. And sometimes, somebody said this earlier as well, sometimes it's jealousy. Why did that kid get, better grades than me? Why is she prettier than me? Okay, why is he better in that basketball than me? Whatever the reason may be, sometimes it's just jealousy as well. So sometimes they are so insecure, they are so afraid of getting bullied themselves, so they start bullying other kids just to show them that, hey, don't mess with me, I'm like really bad and this and that. So because of this lack of insecurity. Okay, they have a lot of insecurity about themselves, and because of that, they bully other kids. Okay, so what do you think this means? This is a lot of debate over this issue. View violence positively. What does that mean? Yes.
Is it like?
Oh, you forgot. Okay. Anyone else? What do you think that means? View violence positively. What does that mean? They like fighting, okay. Yes, in the back. Okay, they like the harm that they're causing on the victim? Yes. I'm sorry, can you speak louder? I can't hear. What did she say?
They're liking the trouble that they're making.
Okay, they're liking the trouble that they're making. Yes, okay. So this is where that debate, how many of you have heard the debate about violent video games and violent movies and stuff like that and kids? You've seen that, you heard that debate. So there's like a huge debate in psychology about this, okay? There are people who are for it and there are people who are against it. But this is what the research shows. The research shows that when it comes to young kids, okay, when it comes to an older person, when they watch something like violent, they know it's not real, okay? They know this is fake, okay? Yeah, you have a question?
Isn't that up to the parents?
I'm sorry?
If they grow up to be violent, it's not their fault, it's the parents' fault. They didn't protect their children from the bad stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a factor. That's not the only reason, but it could be a factor, yes.
I was saying, mostly it's parents also not teaching like the boundaries between imagination when they.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yes. Yes, exactly. But here's the thing as well. When young kids, when they're exposed to violent stuff, they cannot tell the difference. Their brains are not developed, right? So they cannot tell the difference between reality and fiction, okay? So that's why when they try to go to school, they try to do the same behavior that they saw in the movies or in the video games, because they don't see the difference. When I was in high school, not in high school, but when I was in middle school, I remember kids used to like come to school. They try to see what they saw in WWF, for example. They try to do them in the school bathrooms, for example, right? And sometimes kids will get really hurt, really bad, because they can't tell the difference that this is fake. What was happening on the screen is fake. It's not real. It's like, or it's orchestrated, and it's completely fake. But they can't tell the difference, so they try to behave the same way. So that's why when you have an older brain, a developed brain, they can tell the difference. They know this is fake. So it doesn't have that type of impact. But when it comes to young kids, it does emotionally and psychologically affect them in a way that's negative. Okay. So that's why this is why one of the reasons why kids bully as well, because they view violence positively. They don't see it as a problem. And yes, like some of you said, it is the responsibility of the parents to teach them that and try to put restrictions on it and stuff like that. Okay, so some kids, they have difficulty following rules, meaning they may have some mental issues, for example, okay, or they may have some other emotional issues, okay, for whatever reason. So in that case as well, they need counseling and they need therapy. Okay, now, before I go to the next slide, why is this information important? Why do you need to understand these steps that why kids bully? Why is this important? Why is it important to understand the psychology of a bully? Why is it important? Yes. Okay, so if you do it, you can make sure you're not falling into it. Okay, anything else? You can help them. Good. Anything else? Yes.
Prevent it from the future.
Prevent it from the future. If you don't know what's causing the problem, how are you going to fix the problem? Okay? So, based on this, what you see on the screen, do you think punishing this kid or expelling this kid is going to help? No. Be honest.
It could.
No, it doesn't help. The research shows it doesn't help. Actually, when kids get expelled, when they come back, they just repeat the same behavior.
He's going to retaliate.
It's going to retaliate. He doesn't care. So, punishing the kid in this situation doesn't help. So, what does the research show? It shows that these kids, what do you think these kids need? They need therapy. They need somebody, a professional, to sit down with them and work through their emotional, psychological issues that they're having. They need some sort of closure with whatever problem that they're having in their life, okay? So they need counseling and they need therapy, okay? And that's what will fix the behavior. Punishing them, expelling them, giving them detentions and threatening them is not going to help. They're just going to repeat the behavior. It never stops. Yes?
Then how come teachers always say make sure to tell a teacher and don't?
We'll get to that, inshallah. We'll get to that. Ideally, in an ideal situation, the school will invest in therapists and psychologists, okay, and they will get them like counseling and stuff like that. But most schools cannot afford it, okay, so they don't have this option, so they just expel them, they just punish them. But anyway, that's a different debate. But this is what we need to know for our purposes. That this is what the issue is. Yes.
So regarding when you were telling about the victims, you mentioned that the parents' behavior, if they develop somehow low self-esteem or low confidence, that will cause the kid to become a victim, but also the parents' behavior also cause a kid to become a bully.
Yes.
So how do you differentiate what sort of behaviors, or it's like a flip of a coin that one kid can become a bully because of those same exact behaviors as the other?
Yeah, it depends on the child. So some child, because for example, one child who's a victim of maybe their parents physically abuse them, verbally abuse them, so he develops low self-esteem, low self-confidence, so he becomes a victim in the future, right? Another kid, because his parents are that way, he does the same behavior outside because that's the only way he knows. So it depends on the psychology of the kid, how he receives that information, and how he interprets it, and how it affects his personality.
So it means that the same exact behavior from
Exactly.
the parents could...
Yeah, impact the kid in a different way depending on the child. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes, they should, but unfortunately not everyone does. Yes. Yeah, a sibling can be a bully as well, as we talked about. Yeah, they can also pick on their younger kids. That's why some of you, how many of you are older siblings? How many of you are older siblings? Okay, right. So you have younger siblings, so you need to make sure that you're not bullying them, making them feel worthless, making them, picking on them, because that may have negative impact on them, especially if they are young. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point as well. Okay, so before we continue, my last comment about this is that Another reason to understand the psychology of a bully is so you know who you're dealing with. So a lot of kids who are bullied, they think like the bully is a monster. He doesn't have any like human, like he's not human. He's like from another planet. No, there's a reason behind this, because this is to humanize the bully. Okay, this is to humanize the bully. So when you look at him, you know that there's certain problems he's coming from or she's coming from that is causing him or her to behave this way. Okay, so it's to humanize the bully. Okay, so what do you think I'm going to talk about in this slide? Effects of bullying, yes. Yeah, things like that. Yes, exactly. So, a lot of people think that bullying doesn't cause any problems. Like, it's like part of childhood. It's something that you grow with, right? And it's not an issue for a child. It's just like part of growing up. Actually, that's not true. Bullying is not normal, okay? And it causes people to become abnormal because of it. And research has shown that when kids are bullied, it has a lot of negative impact on them, on their psychology, emotionally, and psychology as well. To a certain extent, for some people, it could even follow up in their adulthood. I met a gentleman at an anti-bullying conference in DC. I was there, and there was a gentleman there who was speaking. He said that he was so severely bullied when he was in middle school. Now, in his adult life, he still has communication issues, and he still takes pills just to deal with his anxiety and emotional problems that he has and psychological problems that he has because he was bullied. So this idea that it doesn't have any impact on the child is very dangerous, and you should not take it seriously. Okay, kids who are bullied do have certain effects on them, such as depression. Kids who are bullied are more likely to be depressed. Kids who are bullied are more likely to have anxiety, which like a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease. They're more likely to feel sad. They're more likely to feel alone. There's also changes in eating and sleeping patterns. So this is something for the parents. So if you see your child that their sleeping patterns change or their eating patterns change, and you take them to the doctor, and the doctor said, I don't know, I don't see anything wrong with your kid. So it might be something's going on in school. So that's something you have to pay attention to, okay? Because your child's behavior could change as well. So sometimes bullying has such a negative impact, it actually changes your child's eating and sleeping patterns. Decreased academic performance. Again, a kid is having like really good grades. All of a sudden, their grades go down. The parents ask, what's wrong? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, maybe something's happening in school. Maybe they're being picked on. So it's having a negative impact because they cannot concentrate properly in the school. Loss of interest in an activity. Your child says, I want to play soccer. They beg you to put them in soccer. You put them in soccer. 2 weeks later, I hate soccer. I never want to go back again. Why? What happened? I don't want to talk about it. Maybe something happened on the field, right? Maybe they got picked on. Maybe they got bullied. So those are signs as parents we have to pay attention to. Now, there's a very small percentage. There are a very small percentage of kids. What happens? They're bullied on a constant basis. They go home, they get a gun, they come to school, they start shooting everybody. Okay, but that's a very minority case. Most victims of bullies do not do that. Okay, they don't go to that extreme, but a small percentage of bullies, they do behave that way. And so far, all the shootings that have taken place in school that I've heard of, all of those kids were known to be bullies, known to be bullied in school, victims of bullying. Okay, so that's something we need to understand. So it's having that type of psychological impact on a child to be able to go this far. Yes.
Most of them are actually don't have a family kind of. They live with people that are strange to them, and they can get really stressed.
Right. Yeah. So that could definitely be added factors to that behavior. Definitely. Okay. So now we get to the crux, or we get to the main issue: what to do if you're actually being bullied. Okay. So what do you think you should do if you're getting bullied? Yes.
Tell them like an adult or someone you trust, and they're actually gonna do something.
Good. Excellent. Anything else? Yes. Try to ignore them. Okay. We'll get to that. That's not a good thing to do. But we'll get to that, inshallah. She said ignore them. We'll get to that. There's a certain level of ignorance to do, but not all the way. Yes. Stand up for yourself. Okay. Yes. Okay, that's good. That's good too. Absolutely. Yes. Last one. Run away. Okay. That might be good for self-defense. Yes. Okay. So the number one thing you need to understand: what is the bully looking for? The one thing he's looking for, a reaction, right? So whenever a bully bullies you, they want to see that fear in you, okay? They want to see you shiver. They want to see you sweat. They want to see you tremble, okay? They're looking for the impact of their bullying behavior onto you, okay? We'll take questions at the end, inshallah. So if you don't react, if you don't give them a reaction, they will leave you alone, okay? Because now you become boring, basically, right? So the main thing a bully is looking for is a reaction. If you give them a reaction, then most likely they will continue the behavior because they're seeking that reaction. But if you do not give them that reaction from the beginning, they won't seek it out of you. So let's leave you alone because now you're a boring subject because they want to get something out of it, okay? And this is why, here, I'll get to that in a second. Another thing you can do is tell the bully to stop in a calm and a very clear voice. Why is that important? A calm and a very clear voice to tell them to stop. So step number one is you try to ignore them. Okay, what she said. Okay, this is step one. Try to ignore them and not let it react. Don't show any sign that that their behavior is impacting you. For example, they come and they call you some sort of a name. You just say whatever. You just kind of just ignore it like you didn't hear it. Like it doesn't even bother. You just kind of let it roll off of you. Like it didn't even impact you. Like you don't even care about it. You don't show any reaction. Is that clear? Okay. So why is the second step important? Meaning if they continue, you tell them to stop in a calm and clear voice. Why is that important? Calm and clear voice. Yes.
You need a calm voice because if your voice is like trembling and stuff, they can tell it's working. And you need a clear voice.
Exactly.
Because if it's like a quiet voice, they can tell like, oh, he's scared. So.
Exactly. Yes.
I thought you were supposed to like tell boys like loud and fierce so they can like get away from it.
No, that's not good. That's not good. that might react badly. Yes. Exactly. So remember the concept of letting it roll off of you. You're calm and you're clear, right? You're calm and you're clear. Like you're not letting it impact you, and you're letting the bully. You're communicating to the bully that to stop. Now, there's another reason why that's important. You know why? If you both get called to the principal, and by the way, this happens often. You both get called to the principal. Maybe something happens and he bullies you, and it turns into a physical altercation, right? Both of you end up at the principal's office. The principal tells the bully, "Why did you hit him? Why did you push him?" He said, "Well, he started it," and then he said, "Okay, or he said, why did you pick on him?" He said, "Well, I was just playing around. He didn't tell me to stop. He didn't tell me he was bothering him." And then the principal turns to the victim and he says, "Did you tell him to stop?" "No, I didn't." And then the bully says, "Oh, you know what? I do that to everyone. I do it to all my friends. I do that to everyone. No one cares. If it bothered him so much, why didn't he tell me to stop?" So the reason is because you need to be able to communicate to the bully that you don't appreciate that behavior and you want them to stop. So if you do get called to the principal's office, you can say, "Hey, actually, I did tell him to stop. I did communicate that he still continued." And then the principal can deal with him and tell him, "Well, if he told you to stop, why didn't you stop?" So that's another reason why this is important to understand, okay? Now, obviously, you only do this if you don't feel at risk of being physically harmed in some way, because in some situations, a bully might be very aggressive, and taking this step might cause him to become even more severe. So you judge it based on the circumstance and the type of bully it is. For some bullies, it may work. For some, it will not. So if it's the type of a bully who's very aggressive, and you think by doing this, he will cause you harm, then that's what you do. You walk away. You ignore him, you walk away, and you try to get help. You tell an adult. Now, here's another thing. You can try to laugh it off. Why do you think this works? By the way, when I first came across this information, I thought it was a joke. Actually, I thought they were just joking around. But actually, no. Actually, the experts actually have this in their data. Okay, that this actually works. Why do you think this works? That you try to laugh it off and try to make a joke out of it. And obviously, if you're a natural comedian, it'll come naturally, right? Why would you think this works? Yes. Exactly. It's all about the reaction, because that's not the reaction that they're seeking. They're seeking the fear, trembling, scared. You know, they're not seeking you to make like a fun of it. So basically, you're turning it around on them. Okay. Yes.
They can see that you don't really care about it.
Exactly. It's not impact. So the key ingredient here is that you're not letting it impact you in any way. It's not bothering you in any way. Now again, same concept, what I said earlier. If you think this is the type of bully who's very aggressive and it will not happen, it will not work with them, then obviously you have to get away as fast as you can and try to get help, okay? and tell an adult. Now, if the bullying still continues, after all these steps, it still continues, right? Then what do? Then you talk to a trusted adult. By the way, this is very important. What is a trusted adult? What's a trusted adult? Yes.
Someone that you know that they're not gonna like lie to you or do anything bad to you. You know that they're actually gonna do something about it.
Exactly. That's the key thing. Somebody that you know will actually do something about it to take care of the situation. Guys. Thank you. Somebody who you know that will actually take care of the situation, because not all adults will take care of the situation. By the way, now there are parents here and stuff, but whenever I have kids isolated from their parents, I always ask them, how many of you will tell your parents if you were bullied? Most of them say they will not. They will not tell their parents. I'm talking about Muslim kids, by the way. They will say they will not tell their parents. Why? They said because one of two reasons. Either my parents will say to ignore it, to ignore the bully, or because they will overreact, come to my school and throw a circus. So you have to have like some sort of a balanced approach on how you deal with your child's bullying situation. By the way, parents, if your child comes home and tells you that they're being bullied at school or picked on, you should not tell them to ignore it, because most likely they've already tried that method. Okay? Most likely because naturally, when somebody who's physically stronger than you or has physically power over you, the first reaction, naturally, self-defense, is you ignore it, right? You don't want to engage with that person. So most likely they've already tried that method and it hasn't worked. So when they have come to you and told you that, you have to take it seriously, okay? And I have a whole section on parents. We'll talk about what parents can do. Okay, so a trusted adult is someone whom you know will take care of the situation and get things done. And I have some examples here. A teacher, a parent, a guidance counselor, a school psychologist. By the way, I met a kid who told me that he was being bullied in school, in high school. When he was in high school, he was being bullied severely, and no one helped him except the janitor. The janitor was the only adult in that school who protected him from the bully. So that was his trusted adult. So that's what I'm talking about. Somebody who will actually, will take care of the situation. And unfortunately, most parents will not, and most teachers will not as well. Because teachers are because they've witnessed bullying so much, they've become desensitized to bullying. So when they see kids being bullied at school, they don't think of it as a big deal. I actually met a sister. I gave this class in Texas to parents and kids there, and there was a mother there, and she told me that her child came home, and she said that she's in kindergarten. Her child is in like kindergarten, first grade. And she said some of her kids in the class told her that you cannot come to my party because you worship a different God than me, right? And she said, I complained to the teacher, and listen to what the teacher said. The teacher said, oh, this is just kids. That's how kids react. Why are you making a big deal out of it? They just grow out of it. That's not normal behavior for a child to behave that way. To say that statement, that's a bullying statement to say it, right? And the reason is because that teacher has become so desensitized to bullying that they don't see it as a big deal. So they just let it like off their slide. If they see acts of bullying happen in school and they let it go and they don't let it bother them because they've seen so much of it. Okay, that's why we as parents, we as parents and adults, we have to step in. When our kids come home and tell us that they're being bullied, we have to take the step. Don't just rely on the teacher. Okay, because it's very likely the teacher will not do anything. Okay. And I have a certain slide on what to do if the teacher doesn't do anything, because a lot of parents say that, well, we complained to the teacher, nothing happened. Okay, there are other steps you can take if the teacher doesn't do anything. Okay, so avoid the bully. Meaning, so sometimes certain bullies, they like to hang out in certain areas of the school. That's their spot. Okay, so in that case, you should avoid those spots. Don't go to those areas, okay? And sometimes certain bullies, they will only pick on you if you're alone. If you're with other people or if you're around an adult, right, then they will not pick on you. In that situation, then the natural thing is you either have a buddy system, walk with a friend, okay, or walk with an adult. Tell them, hey, there's such and such kid who likes to pick on me. I don't want to walk alone. Can you please walk with me, okay? By the way, what's the first law of self-defense? Does anyone know? What's the number one law of self-defense? Like, yes.
Don't be alone.
No. Yeah. Yes.
Use martial arts on them.
What? Oh, no.
You said self-defense.
Yeah. What's the number one rule of self-defense? Okay. Yes. No, not pushing. Yes.
Run away.
Run away. That is actually a type of self-defense. Yes. Okay, the number one rule of self-defense, you know what it is? It is to avoid a physical altercation at all costs. Because any time you get into a physical altercation with someone, the likelihood of you getting physically hurt or dying goes up. Okay? So the number one rule is try to avoid getting into an altercation. So in practical self-defense, guys, so in practical self-defense, running away is not an act of cowardliness, okay? Or getting away from the bully or running away from the bully is not an act of cowardliness. It's actually natural self-defense. How many of you guys have cats? What happens when cats get scared? When they know they can't take on you, they get scared. What do? Either fight or flight, right? They're either going to scratch you or they're going to run away. You know why? Because that's the natural response. Either you're going to fight or you're going to run, okay? Because that's natural self-defense. The same situation when it comes to us. When you come across someone that you know is not going to cause you problems, you have to try to avoid them as much as possible, okay? Because that's natural self-defense. That's how you naturally do it. By the way, even when you take practical self-defense classes, like for women, for example, they will tell the woman like run, scream, hit him with whatever you can if he's grabbing you, but they will say mainly run. Because why? Because that's practical self-defense, okay? So that's what we have to remember as well. There was other point I wanted to make about this slide that slipped my mind. Okay, maybe it'll come to me later. Okay, so here are things that you should not do when you're bullied. Okay, these are things that you should definitely not do and which are not advisable. Think that it's your fault. Okay, so some kids, when they get bullied, like I said earlier, because they have low self-confidence, low self-esteem, they think they deserve it. Okay, no one deserved to be bullied. Okay. So you should never think it's your fault that the bully is bullying you, okay? So it's never your fault. Fight a bully back or bully a person back. So that's not okay. Just because they're treating you badly doesn't mean that you should treat them badly as well, okay? Okay, so keep it to yourself and think that bullying will go away. Okay, I have news for you. It will never go away. Unless you take action and get an adult involved, it will never, ever go away. It will continue to happen over and over and over again. It will never stop. So you have to get that out of your head that it will go away if I just ignore it. It will not. Yes?
If you go into like a physical battle, wouldn't that stop bullying from bullying you?
That's a good question. He's asking if you like fight a bully, wouldn't that stop it? So in most situations, no, that doesn't work because, like we said earlier, in most situations the bully is already stronger, okay, or he has social support. All right, maybe if you fight him and you start overpowering him, maybe his friends will jump in and jump you. How many of you guys seen those videos of kids being jumped? By the way, like with like 20 kids, right? It's like one kid being bullied, right? So these bullies are never alone, okay? So in most situations that doesn't work. Now I have come across certain stories of some victims who fought back and the bully stopped. But let me tell you something. That is very, very rare. That needs to remember, because I don't like. Sometimes this idea is basically put out there, like that if you fight a bully back. Like how many of you guys heard this? I hear this all the time. If somebody's bullying you, just punch them in the face and they'll leave you alone because they know you'll fight back. What is that? Where does that even come from? In most situations, that will never work. That will never work. In most situations, that does not work. Okay. Yes, in certain situations that has worked, but that's not the general rule. The general rule is that the victim will always get more hurt or they'll get even more physically harmed, and that's not advisable behavior to tell a child to do. Okay, and it's not good to do that. By the way, I remembered what I was going to say earlier about the previous slide. How many of you guys saw that video of that girl who got beat up in the bathroom? You guys saw that video that went viral? You guys saw that, right? So based on what we discussed, listen guys, based on what we discussed in the previous slide, what to do if you're being bullied, what could she have done to protect herself? Tell me two things. What did she do wrong and what could she have done? Yes. Do you guys remember the video? How many of you have seen that video? Raise your hand. How many of you guys have seen that video?
So Muslim girl in the bathroom being jumped, right?
Yes. Okay, so most people have it. So let me explain the video. You saw the video? Okay. So it's a video that went viral. Maybe I think it was like a month ago. So what happened was there was a Muslim girl. She's in a bathroom stall, right? And she comes out of the bathroom stall, and there's this white girl. This is a Muslim girl. She's wearing a hijab and everything. Okay. So there's this white girl who's waiting for her. Okay. And she tells her that you're lucky you're from another country, otherwise I would crush you. And the girl basically tells her, well, I'm not afraid of you. I don't care what you say to me. I'm not afraid of you. And am I supposed to be scared? She makes some comments basically towards her. And the girl shoves her. Obviously she's the white girl is much stronger than her. And because the other girl is really skinny. And she shoves her so hard that she flies back and hits the toilet, right? And the other girl gets on top of her and starts punching her, okay? And the girl screams, tells her to stop, leave me alone. And the girl finally gets off, and that's like a 1-minute video. So it went viral. Okay, it was like a month ago. Okay, so what happened in that? What went wrong from the Muslim girl's side? What could she have done? Yes, based on what we discussed. Yes. Right. So when that girl came out, the white girl, she was basically, she wanted a reaction. Guys, listen. She wanted a reaction out of her, okay? She wanted a reaction out of her, okay? She was trying to ignite her, okay? And it was working. And because of that, the Muslim girl, she started talking back, okay? And she started talking back to her and being mean to her in return as well. And because of that, the girl pushed her, right? So what she should have done in that situation, because obviously this girl is looking for a fight, the best thing would have done, as soon as she got out of the bathroom and she saw her, she should have just ran outside, okay? Immediately and got an adult. And the whole situation would have been diffused, okay? Anyway, so that's something. So if you haven't seen the video, you can see it, inshallah, maybe when you go home. But that's what it is. Okay, so continuing on our lecture. Okay, so if the bullying gets so bad that it's actually impacting your school life, okay? So if it gets to this point where you're basically skipping school or you're skipping classes, that's very problematic. No bully should have this much power over your life, okay? Where you're actually impacting your school academic performance in this way. Okay, what's the difference between tattling? What's the difference between tattling and telling someone? Because because a bully might always say that if you tell someone you're going to be a tattletailer. What is the difference between telling and telling? Telling and tattling. What's the difference? Yes.
Telling someone, you're basically telling them what happened. If you're telling, then if you're somebody else and you're telling that this thing happened.
Okay, anything else? Yes. Yeah.
It's like telling somebody for no reason, tattletailing, and telling is actually telling somebody because they did something to you and affected you, or did something to another person.
Okay, no, that's good enough. Okay, last one, yes.
So telling is like when something actually happened, then you need to tell them. Tattling, you do it in a more annoying way, and then when someone's talking back, say, I'm just gonna go tell on you.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. So tattling basically is when your intention is to just get someone in trouble, whether justified or not. You just want to get them in trouble, okay? Telling is actually relating information, okay? Some sort of fact, for example. So it's not the same thing. So whenever a bully tells you that you're going to be a tattletailer or you're tattling, they're only trying to protect themselves, okay? That's why they're doing that. So that's important to remember. Yes, you have a question? Or comment? Yes. Guys, listen, I can't hear you. Yes. Can you speak louder, please? Yes.
Something maybe you can bring up that's related to bullying. It could be a bullying, it starts out little and it goes higher.
Yeah.
So one of a student is calling another student by not his name but a different name, and he doesn't like it. And then one student calls him that, and then it starts out other people calling him that, and that becomes a problem for the student. How do you address that? How do you tell if it's something that's happening in a Islamic school? How do you address that? If the student's not happy?
Right. That's a good question. I take those questions during the parent section. Are you going to be here for the parent section as well? Okay. Yeah, no, I understand. But it requires a discussion. Because I have a slide for this type of stuff that's coming up for the parent section. But yeah, I do discuss that. So I'll talk about it then, inshallah. Yeah. Okay, so sometimes kids who get bullied, they go to this extreme. So no bully should have so much impact on you to the point that is actually impacting your life. Okay, where you're trying to cut yourself, for example. Okay, or you're trying to take your life. By the way, there was a Muslim girl in Maryland. Okay, like a couple of years ago. She was like 12 years old, and she killed herself because she was being bullied in school. She was 12 years old. What is that? That's nothing. That's such a young age. 12-year-old. I think she was a Syrian girl. She was being bullied in school in Maryland, and she killed herself. So it was a very sad story. So it does happen. It's a very minority of cases, but it does happen. Okay. Now, what do you do if you see someone else being bullied? Okay, tell me. Give me something. Yes. Okay, you can stand up for them. Yes. Yes. Okay, tell the bully to back off. Okay. Yes. Okay, sit with the victim. Okay, or walk with them. Okay, that's good. That's very good. Yes. What did she say? Can somebody relate that? Okay. Oh, you can help them tell? Okay. Last one, yes.
I've seen this like video when like this little kid was getting bullied. This like really old kid came up and like grabbed the bully, like told him to get away.
Okay. Yes, last one behind you. Can you speak louder? Louder? Okay. Okay. I couldn't hear her that well. Okay. Okay, since we're low on time, I'm going to go a little faster now, inshallah, okay? Okay, so, number one, talk to an adult that you trust. Don't let them continue to be bullied. So you need to go with somebody that you trust, that you know will take care of the situation, and then let them know that, hey, so-and-so is being bullied or picked on, and I think you should take a look at it. Be kind to the bully. So why is this important? Being kind to the bully. Why is that important? Yes.
Because the bully might think that you're also bullying them, so they might call the picture on you.
Okay. Anything else? Why is that important? Why is it being kind to the bully being kind to the victim so important? I'm sorry? Develop trust. Remember we talked about that kids who are bullied have low self-esteem and they have low self-confidence, right? So when a bully is bullying them, they're basically breaking down their self-confidence and self-esteem even more, right? So when you go and you basically befriend the victim and you talk to them, you walk with them, right? You're rebuilding their self-confidence, okay? And you're making them feel that they're not alone, okay? That not everyone feels that way, okay? So that's why that's important. I have some examples listed here that you can read. You can sit with them at lunch or on the bus, talk to them, invite them to do something, make them not feel alone. That's the important thing, because you need to rebuild their self-confidence. Okay, get involved in your school's committee. Okay, so every school, you can either talk to your principal. If kids, by the way, the research has shown that when kids themselves get involved in an anti-bullying campaign at their school, it is far more effective than adults telling kids, no, don't bully other kids. Why is it more effective when kids themselves do it? Why is it stopping bullying is more effective when kids themselves say, hey, we're not going to have this in our school? Why is it more effective? Why is it more effective when kids do it as opposed to adults? There are many reasons. Number one is peer pressure, right? Because remember, one of the things the bully seeks is an audience. If he doesn't have an audience, if he knows if I bully this kid, the other kids are going to turn on me, okay? They're not going to support that behavior. He's not going to do it then, or she's not going to do it because there's no support for it. He doesn't have an audience, okay? So that's why this is so important. So that's why kids themselves should get involved in some sort of an anti-bullying campaign at your school. Okay, and every school has a methodology to do that. If your school doesn't have one, you can start one as well. Okay, so now I go to the parent section. So I'm going to take 5 minutes break, and then we'll start the parent section. So sister, I'll just answer your question before I do the break. I still have to pray dhuhr. So I'm going to pray dhuhr, okay? Regarding your question, she said Islamic school, which is very important because we need to stop thinking that bullying only happens in non-Muslim schools. It happens in Muslim schools as well. By the way, I've even heard that in Hifz schools, it happens. Okay, so sister, in your situation, what I would advise is that in that situation, the parents of the kid who's being bullied, the parents of the kid who is being bullied, they should have a meeting with that child who's bullying them with their parents. Okay, they should all have a meeting and sit together, and they need to resolve that situation. So number one, you need to bring it to the attention of the school officials. Okay, if they don't do anything about it, you have to push it. You have to push it. Okay. And if they still do, and if they still don't do it, you have to say, if you're not going to stop, I'll take my kid out of your school, okay? Or I'll complain to whoever is higher up the chain, basically, okay? But ideally, what the school will do is they will set up a meeting between the kids who is a victim, their parents, and the bully and his parents, and they will basically sort the situation out or have some sort of a resolution. So the kid gets the message that this is not okay, what he or she is doing. Yes.
Once my dad took me to Sunday school, like the reason I left it like a year later, because like I had no friends in that Sunday school, so like they had a lot of kids who didn't like me, like didn't like the stuff I liked, so then I left the school.
Okay, yeah, so that might be a solution for some kids. If they're getting bullied and nothing's changing, then yeah, maybe it's the best thing that they take them out. Right. Yes, yes. By the way, parents, taking your kids out of the school should be an option. I know it's very difficult, but the safety of your child's mental health, okay, and emotional health is far more important. So if it gets to the level where the school officials are not doing anything, okay, and I'll talk about the chain that you take, okay, and if you went up to the highest chain and it's still happening, you should probably take your kids out of that school. Why would you continue to put them in that situation, in that like toxic environment where they're emotionally and psychologically being tortured? We need to understand that bullying is a form of trauma. Okay, do you understand the term trauma? Do you understand what that does to a person? Okay, it follows into their adulthood. It has issues with them even in adulthood, communication issues, psychological issues. Okay, so you don't want a child that's messed up psychologically, emotionally, because you didn't take the proper steps to protect your child from being bullied. So that's something important to understand and remember. Okay, so in this section, I specifically focus on the parents. Okay, and I talk to them about bullying. Okay, I don't think I have to teach you, I don't think I have to convince you on the statistics of bullying. Okay, we have 53% of Muslim students who have said that they've been religious, who have been picked on because they are Muslims. Okay, and what's scary to me is that 38% of bullying incidents of Muslim kids were done by actually their teachers. So in 38% of cases where Muslim kids said that they were being bullied, the bully was the teacher. The teacher was picking on them because they were Muslim. Okay, so that's very shocking. Okay, and scary at the same time. Okay. Okay, so now what to do if your child is being bullied? Okay, so there are a few things you can do. Number one, please do not tell them to ignore it or suck it up. Okay, that's not good advice to give your child. And that's one of the reasons they do not come to you, because they do not trust you, because this is the advice that you will give them, okay? So that's something important to understand, because you have to do something about it. Like I said earlier, if your child comes to you and said that he or she is being bullied, it's most likely they've already tried this advice and it hasn't worked. Okay, review the school district policies. You know, in the beginning of the school year, your child brings home that paperwork that you sign, never read. You know what I'm talking about, right? In the beginning of the school year, the school sends home, it's like a long paperwork of all these rules and blah, blah, this and that. And you just kind of don't sign it. You don't read it, just sign it, send it back. Okay, in that document, usually, not always, but usually there's a section on bullying that if your child is bullied, please take these steps. Or this is our policy on bullying. If your child is being bullied, this is the steps you should take. You need to understand that very much. You need to memorize it and know it inside out, like the back of your hand. Why? This is the only question I'll take from the audience. Why is that important? Why is this important? I'm sorry? Yeah. You need to review the anti-bullying policy of your child's school inside out. You need to know it. Why? Why is that important?
Because you would know that how to deal with it, how to look for the symptoms and what.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anything else? There's something more important. What is it? You know what happens when your child is bullied? Okay, let's say it's, may God forbid something severely happens to your child because of bullying, right? You go to the school. The first thing the school is going to do is protect itself. It's going to ask you, did you follow our anti-bullying policy? The procedure that we have laid out in our rules, did you follow that? If you say no, then the school will protect itself. That, hey, that the parent never followed our rules that we have. That's why you need to know this, okay? Because if after that, after you follow the procedure, and the bullying still happens, then you can actually take them to court and things like that, okay? Because in court, if you have to sue the school, for example, if you didn't follow their official guideline that you signed in the beginning of the year, then they're going to be protected, and you won't be protected, okay? So that's why this is important to understand. You need to know. So every school has that policy, okay? Now, if it's not, if in your child's rule book that they send home, the policy is not in there, or they don't teach you how to deal with it, you have to call the school, okay? You need to ask them, hey, I don't see a policy here. What is your anti-bullying policy? If my kid is bullied in your school, what can I do, okay? What should I do? Give me the whole process, okay? And then you need to know it, you need to memorize it, you need to write it down, okay? And that's important to understand. Okay, now, if your child comes to you home and either tells you that they've been bullied or gives you signs, because sometimes they may not say they're being bullied, but they might say, oh, somebody picked on me, somebody's calling me names because I'm Muslim. They may give you other signs, okay? So if that's the case, the first thing you need to do is you need to call the teacher of the child's teacher and tell, hey, my son came home, my daughter came home, this is what she's saying or he's saying, what are you going to do about it? How can what's the process? First follow the process of the school, but interact with the teacher. Okay, this is what happened. I need this resolved. You need to be firm. Don't be like iffy-washy. Like, oh, I came home. Is something going on? What's happening? No, just be like firm. My kid came home. This is what they said. Okay, how are you dealing with it? Okay, you need to be firm and you need to be clear with them. Okay, like I said, I gave you the example of the Muslim sister in Texas. Like the teacher just kind of washed it off because the way she was asking that question was like like wishy-washy. By the way, when that sister asked me that question, there was another sister sitting right next to her. She said, sister, when one of my kids came home, they had the same situation. I went straight to the school. I talked to the teacher. I was very firm. No, you need to take care of this, okay? You're the teacher. You're the adult in the room, okay? So you fix this, okay, immediately. And she said, and the bullying immediately stopped because she wasn't this wishy-washy about it. She was there to protect her child, okay? So you need to be firm. Polite, respectful, but firm, okay? And don't make them think that they can wiggle. They can make you wiggle their way out or somehow. Okay, now, so this is something very common I hear about parents. They say, okay, I went to the teacher, nothing happened. What do I do now? Okay, this is the formula you need to remember, okay? Number one, you go to the teacher. Okay, you complain to the teacher, okay? You stay firm, okay? You be clear, respectful. They don't do anything. The child comes home, is still being bullied. You go to the principal, okay? You complain to the principal. You say, I went to the teacher, he didn't do anything, okay? What are you going to do to protect my child? I need this resolved, situation resolved. Okay, and then you work with the principal, however, okay, whatever the process is. It still doesn't work. The kid is still being bullied. Then you go to the superintendent, okay, of the school, okay? You complain to him. You tell him, I went to the teacher. I went to the principal. My kid is still being bullied. What are you going to do about it? I need this resolved, okay? If it's still happening and it's still continuing, you need to go to the school board, okay? You need to find the school board, go to your county's website and find out who the school board is. Go to the school board meeting and say, hi, my kid is being bullied at your school, at one of your schools, okay? I went to the teacher, I went to the principal, I went to the superintendent. None of them have done anything to protect my child. What are you going to do? I need some practical steps. And they'll probably sit down with you. By this point, they should start taking it seriously because the school board will complain to the school and they'll start taking it seriously. Let's say, for example, it still doesn't work. Okay, then you can go all the way to the U.S. government. Okay, you can actually write a complaint in the Office of Civil Rights, for example, or the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. You can go there and they will assign you a case lawyer to work with you for free because these are public schools, right? They're public, right? So they're run by the government money. So they're going to provide you a free lawyer to work on your case with the school. Okay, so now the school is under investigation, basically, by the U.S. government, right? So these are the steps that you need to understand. By the way, every state in the country has anti-bullying laws. You need to understand what your laws are, okay? Go to your website, your county's website, or actually I'll give you another website at the end. You can actually go to our website, iknacsj.org/stopbullying, and I'll give you the resources at the end. And we have like each state, what you can click on the state and figure out what the laws of each state are, okay? So that's there as well. Okay, now what if your child is the bully? Okay, there's a lot of parents have, they don't have, sometimes they have a hard time accepting this. Yes, if certain circumstances are at play, your child can be a bully too, and you need to deal with it, okay? Number one, make it clear to them that their behavior is unacceptable and they'll have consequences. And it needs to stop immediately. You need to immediately tell your child that what you did is wrong. Okay, you should not pick on. Why did you pick on that child? Okay, it's wrong. It's not okay. I don't want to hear about it again. That this happened because of you at school. So you need to let them know seriously that that type of behavior is not acceptable to you as a parent. Okay, now sometimes parents, and I see this sometimes. Parents will say somebody will complain your kid is being bullying other kids. The parents will say, "Oh, don't worry, I will take care of it. Inshallah, when I go home, inshallah, I'll take care of it." And they go home and nothing happens, okay? So if you tell your child that there will be consequences, okay? If you repeat this behavior and they repeat that behavior, you need to follow with the consequences. Whatever punishment that you agree to give them, you need to give it through. It doesn't matter. I have a daughter too. I know sometimes it's hard. They're so cute sometimes, right? And they're like complain and just like they start crying. And they start sucking up to you and stuff like that. No, you have to follow through. Okay, you have to follow through because this is a teaching moment. You need to teach them that their actions will have consequences because you don't want them growing up thinking that their actions have no consequences. Okay, so they need to learn that. Okay, help them recognize how it's making the victim feel. So a lot of bullies sometimes they don't understand. Maybe because they're young, maybe they don't completely understand. Sometimes they don't understand that their actions are having a negative impact on the other child. You need to make them build empathy with the victim, okay? How would you feel if somebody did that to you? How would you feel if somebody did that to your little brother or sister, okay? How would you feel, okay? So you need to make them sympathize somehow with the victim. So they have to make them stand in their shoes, okay? Encourage them to perform an act of kindness. This is very important because, so whenever a bully picks on another child, okay, they get some sort of a high out of it, some sort of a negative high. It gives them a sort of power feeling, right? So it's kind of addictive. So they like that, right? So you need to reverse that, okay? So you need to you can either take them to soup kitchens, for example. You can have them volunteer at the masjid. Basically, you need to teach them that they can have an impact on somebody else's life in a positive way and still get that high. Okay, that I've had an impact on someone else's life in a positive way. So you need to reverse that feeling. Ask them to reflect on why they are doing it. Why are you doing it? What's the reason? You need to sit down with your child. You need to talk to them. What made you punch that kid? What made you say those things about that kid? Okay, why did you do that? Okay, and then maybe all of the skeletons in the closet will come out. Well, mom and dad, my older brother and sister does that to me all the time. You don't say anything to him or her. Why are you saying some stuff to me, right? So basically the point is that you need to figure out, you need to get to the root of the problem. Or they might say, oh, because my friends made me do it. They dared me to do it. So now you know your kid is hanging out with the wrong crowd. So now you need to put restrictions on their friends and who they're hanging out with, right? So you need to get to the bottom of it. You need to understand why they're behaving the way that they are, and then you need to fix the root of the problem, okay? Now, some kids have anger issues, and every parent knows their kids. You know immediately if your child has anger issues or not. Like my kid's got anger problems. Okay, my kid has emotional problems. Or in that case, you need to take them to a counselor or a therapy. You need to take them to a therapist. You need to get them properly evaluated and fixed. Okay. Now I know there's like this stigma in our community about counseling and therapy. I'll give you this. I'll just give you with this example. Okay, if your child is physically sick, okay, you would take them to a doctor. Yes or no? Right? If your child is severely sick, you would take them to a doctor to get the medication that they need to become better, right? So, if your child is mentally or emotionally sick, then you need to get them to a proper doctor. And the doctor is a therapist or a counselor in this situation, so they can provide them with whatever treatment that they need. In some issues, some kids need pills, okay? They need to be on something because they have some emotional or psychological issues. Other kids, they just need somebody to talk to and provide some sort of way out for them to basically have closure, okay? Or somehow to untie their emotional and psychological problems that they're having. So the point is you need to take them to a professional, okay? And as parents, you know best if your kid falls into that or not. Now, some kids have communication issues. They don't know they've never properly learned how to communicate with other kids. They don't know every child goes through this phase when they're young. They don't want to share. It's mine. Then you tell them, no, you have to share, sweetie. Okay, you have to share. No, it's mine. I don't want to share. You teach them, right? In some situations, parents never teach their kids to share. Okay, so when they grow up, they've never learned how to communicate with other beings and share with them. Especially reaching a compromise, because that's how their life goes on, right? We as adults, we compromise with each other. Otherwise, we would just kill each other, right? If we behave like children, we would just kill each other, right? The reason we're still here, because adults, we know we're rational beings. We know that in order to go forward in life, I have to compromise with a person to get along with him. Otherwise, I will never get along with him if I'm not willing to compromise with you. Okay, in any way, I will never get along with you. So as parents, you need to understand, is my child able to compromise with other kids or not? Is he able or she able to understand that there's this sharing process in this world that we go through? There's a compromise. You're not always going to get what you want. Okay, sometimes you have to give a little. Okay, you're not always going to receive it. So your kids have to understand that. Now, some kids, they have low self-confidence, okay? And I'll get to a slide on that, okay? I have a specific, but so in that case, you have to help build your child's self-confidence. So in some situations, that's the problem. So, okay, as parents, it is your duty to know who your kids' friends are. It is your duty to know who they're hanging out with. Because if they're with the wrong crowd, you need to make sure they change it, or you need to restrict it, okay? Because that's not good environment to be in. If they're in a bad environment, then as parents, you have to protect them. Even the Prophet ﷺ told us, right? A man is on the religion of his friends, so be careful who your friends are, right? So that's the same concept here. So you need to understand who your friends are, your kid is hanging out with. These are just general tips for parents. Lead by example and respect. I'll just go through them. Teach them positive, non-violent responses to abusive behavior, okay? Build in them strong self-confidence and positive self-image. Okay, that's important. Don't put them down, okay? I have an example here. Enroll them in a self-defense class because that builds self-confidence, okay? Create a loving home and environment, okay? Make sure it's not full of like anger, fighting, yelling, screaming. That's not a good environment for a child. Treat them with respect, no physical or emotional abuse. I need to comment on that actually. So I hear sometimes, like some sisters, they say like, so I've heard from some sisters that one of the main reasons that they have low self-confidence is because of their mothers, okay? Because growing up, their mother used to tell them, you're not pretty enough, you're too fat, you're too dark, you're too thin, you're too small. So because of that, they have this self-image issue. So it's actually the mother that caused that image in her daughter to have. So that's very important. So don't emotionally abuse your children, okay? Don't do that, okay? And same thing with father. Don't tell your kid, like your son, like you're not a man, for example. You're not this, you're not this, you're not... It's like trying to put them down or stuff like that. You need to be loving, and it has to be a loving environment in the house because that has a negative impact on the child's psyche. Create a culture of accountability. Like I said earlier, if you tell your children need to understand that if they do something wrong, there will be consequences in the house. That my parents will take it seriously, that they won't just like ignore it or let it roll off them. Okay, that's important. Recognize and look for signs which may indicate that your child is being bullied. I mentioned some of them earlier, like if your child's eating patterns change, their sleeping patterns change, or they were doing good in school, now they're doing bad, and there's no reason for it. Okay, they wanted to be in a particular activity, now they're no longer interested without any cause. Those are signs. And by the way, you can Google more signs. You can like go to Google, signs my kid is being bullied. There are like hundreds of websites dedicated to just that idea. Get to know the staff of your school. You need to know everybody at your school, okay? And that's why it's very important to get involved in the PTA. PTA is the only way you know what the heck is going on at your child's school, okay? That's the only way you will know what's happening. That's the only way you can have a positive impact at your child's school. And I don't know why in our community, people, our community is not interested in being part of the PTA, but we should. Be that one brown person that's like on the PTA and running for president. They try to make those changes, inshallah. Okay, so, teach self-protection techniques and role play them for practice. Okay, sit down with the children and say, okay, we're going to role play what happens if you're being bullied. Okay, so make one of your kids the bully and the other one the victim, and make them do a situation so they can know how to react. Make them role play, make them practice. Okay, so in different scenarios, so when it happens to them in real life, they know exactly what to do because they've practiced it with their parents at the house. Okay, this is my last slide. How to raise self-confident kids. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, help them develop competence. Okay, what is competence? Anyone know what is competence? When I say help them develop competence, what does that mean? So competence means being good at something. It's something that your child is good at. So you need to help. So every child is different. Every child has some sort of skill that they're good at that other kids aren't. So don't try to like copycat your kids. If one kid is good at math, they want all their kids to be good at math. Don't do that. Maybe your child's an artist, for example, right? So you need to find that particular talent that your kid has, and then you need to cultivate it. You need to grow it. Because why? It helps build self-confidence. Okay? Let them take healthy risks. So some parents, they're overprotective of their children. They don't let them do anything. Okay? Anything. So what happens when this kid grows up? He's always afraid. Okay? He doesn't want to take any risks because he's always afraid, because he was never taught to take risks. Okay? Naturally, kids, they're curious. They want to take risks. But parents, with the way you grow them up, or with the way you raise them, sometimes you teach them not to take risks. Okay? And because of that, when they get into adulthood, or when they get older, they never learn, so they always go into that position of being safe all the time. Okay? Now, tell me this. Yes?
Sorry, can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Can you give an example of what would be considered healthy risk?
Yeah, I'll give you an example, inshallah. Before I get to that, so for example, I'll give you an example. For example, your kid is young and they want to get on a slide that's too much for them. Okay? It's not a major risk at that age, but you can still take that risk, right? Because it's okay, like don't be like, no, you're too young. Just come, or let them try it. Just let them try it, right? Or whatever other risk. Maybe they want to get on something that's really dangerous, but you want to hold them, right? You want to hold them, but you want to let them try it. Let them hang it out. Let them go through it. Like I have a daughter, for example, right? So sometimes I let her do certain things, like when her mom's not around, which she wouldn't let her do. But I let her do. I want her to try it, okay? Because I want her to get used to this idea of taking healthy risks. So I can take healthy risks. Sometimes even if I know that she'll fall, if I know she won't get seriously hurt, I'll let her fall. And I'll let her take those risks because those are important for her as a learning experience, okay? But if I always protect her, no, you're too young, you're not doing it right now, then she'll never learn to take those risks, okay? Why is that important? Because when they grow up and there's a bully who's bothering them, telling the adult or standing up to a bully, is that a risk or no? For the child, is that a risk or no? In the child's mind, that's a risk that they have to take, right? So if you've never taught them how to take a risk, how are they going to take a risk when they're in that situation? Because standing up to a bully, going to an adult and telling an adult, getting them involved is a risk, okay? And if they've never learned how to take risks as children, they will always be in that safe position, okay? I have to be safe. I have to not know. It's too dangerous. He might hurt me. He might do this to me. He might do that to me. So that's why you need to let your kids get healthy. You need to get them do healthy risks. By the way, I use the word healthy because it's based on age. For a certain age, there's a certain risk that they can take, other risks that they cannot take. So you, as a parent, have to judge: is this appropriate for my child? Okay, and if it is, you need to let them take it, and don't always try to protect them all the time from everything. It's okay to let them get hurt a little bit here and there because they need to learn and grow. Make them feel loved and secure. So every child, they want two things. They want love and they want security. That's what they want from their parents, love and security. If they don't get that, then that will be a problem. Because why? Because it will help them be self-confident. Do not overpraise. So some parents, they overpraise their kids too much, okay? You're the best thing in the world. No? You know, when kids get older, when their parents tell them, you're the best, you're the most cutest thing in the world, what do they say? Do they get mad, or yes or no? Why do they get mad? Why do they get mad?
For not having something they want.
Okay, close. The reason they get mad is because they know this is not like completely true. Okay, I'm not the most beautiful person in the world. I'm not the most. So they know it's a lie kind of thing. Maybe in your eyes they are, but it's not a type of thing that you want to say to a child, right? Same thing. If they do something that's completely insignificant, like they burp. Oh my God, you burp! Why? That's not something to praise the child about. So proper praise is appropriate praise, a praise that is specific and earned. For example, your child comes home and they say they got an A. You say, you did a wonderful job, you worked very hard, you completely deserve it, great job. It's very specific to a particular thing and it's earned, right? It's something that they worked for. Why is that important? Let me put it this way. So the focus should be on the effort, not the results. Why is that important? The source of the praise should be for the effort, not the result. Why? This is very important. Why?
Because they cannot always achieve success, so the effort, but they are trying to.
Exactly. You want to grow children who know that life is about working hard. It's not about the results. If you only praise your child when he is successful, when they fail, what's going to happen to their self-confidence? what's going to happen to the self-confidence? It's going to go down, yes or no? Because you focus on the result. My parents only care about the result. If I don't get an A, they'll be mad. If they don't get a B, they'll be mad. As opposed to a child who says, you know what, I got a C this time, you know what, maybe I didn't try hard enough, I'll try harder next time. You see the difference, right? That's a self-confident kid. A kid who has low self-confidence, oh, I can't believe I got a C, my parents are going to kill me. I'm such a loser, I'm never going to get anywhere, my mom's right, my dad's right, I'm probably never going to achieve anything in life. That's a low self-confident kid, okay? So that's why you want to focus on the effort of the child. You got an A on the project, you worked really hard, you totally deserve it, great job. Okay, so that's something important to understand. By the way, even in our religion, right, we know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, right, that a person who recites the Quran beautifully will be rewarded, right? But the one who recites it in a weak way, not properly, but he's trying, has double the reward. So even Allah Himself looks at the effort. He doesn't care about the result, okay? Because the result is from Him, right? The result is from Allah, but the effort is from us that we have to put in, right? So even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment, when He gives us reward, He'll give the effort. He'll look at the effort. How much effort did we put into the work? And not the result, because the results don't matter. And that's what we have to teach our kids. That it's not about the results, it's about the effort. So if you put in the right effort, you worked hard, you got the proper result, you totally deserve it. And if you failed, it's okay. I still love you, don't worry about it, we'll try again next time. That's the type of mentality you want to build, because it helps build self-confident kids. Okay, let them help around the house. That's very important, okay? Especially, by the way, also if they are boys, okay? I know we have this concept in our community. If it's a girl, they make her work around the house. When it's a boy, they don't. That's not good, okay? And that actually builds boys who have like ego issues when they grow up. So that's not a good thing. So even if you have boys, they should be helping around the house, doing the dishes, cleaning the toilets, cooking, helping with cooking, whatever it is. They need to help. Because it's important, because it helps build self-confidence, and you're teaching them responsibility. And as they get older, you need to give them responsibility. You're going to do dishes on Monday. That's your job. You're going to do the trash on Tuesday. That's your job. You have to teach them, okay? They need to learn. And why? Because that helps raise self-confident kids. And you don't want to want a child who's like a mama's boy or anything like that, right? Okay, encourage them to pursue their interests. Like I said that earlier. I know you two have to go, right? You have to go, right? I'm almost done, like 2, maybe 5 minutes, maybe, inshallah. Okay. Okay, encourage them to pursue their interests. Okay, like I said, every child is different. Every child has something particular about them that other kids do not have, okay? And you need to understand that. You need to find that talent in your child. Every child has it. You need to find it, and you need to cultivate it, and you need to put it, and if you find it, you need to cultivate it and grow it, okay? So for example, your child is very much into sports, for example. He loves soccer. Put him in a soccer team. Even if your school doesn't have a soccer team, get him into a club. Join them, okay? Your kid loves math, or they love science. Get him into a science club, okay? Find, like, in your local areas, if there's anything going on related to science, take your kid to the science fair. Whatever it is, whatever your child loves and likes, find it and grow it and cultivate it, because it will help them with their self-confidence, okay? And it's very important, guys.
If you have a daughter and gymnastics.
Yeah, if you have a daughter, she likes gymnastics, for example, she's into gymnastics, get them into a gymnastic thing, okay? If your child wants to be in martial arts, get them into it. But whatever it is, find it and just cultivate it and grow it. Don't try, by the way, one more comment about that, don't try to make copycats out of it. Sometimes, some parents, they're very proud of one kid because of this one thing that they like, because he's really good at math or science, and they want all of their kids to be like that, and they judge all the other kids based on that thing, okay? And that causes a lot of friction in the house between that kid and the other kids. It causes jealousy, it causes hostility, and it could basically mess up their relationship when they're older, okay? So that's not a good thing to do. So you need to look for each child is different, okay? So don't try to make copycats of your kids. Okay, I mentioned this earlier. If they failed because they struggled, after struggling properly, correctly, they still failed, then you need to let them know that you still love them, you still take care of them, and that it's okay, that you'll just try again next time, okay? And ban harsh, I think this is the last, I think I have one more after this. Ban harsh criticism, okay? Don't emotionally or physically abuse your children, okay? In this case, emotionally abuse your children. Oh, you're never going to be good enough. You're always going to be a failure. You're just going to be working at McDonald's for the rest of your life, okay? You're too fat, you're too dark, you're too short. Don't do that. That's not okay. Okay? Because that kills their self-confidence. Okay? And as parents, they take your criticism more seriously than they take other people's criticism. So if you tell them that and they hear the same thing from other people, they will think it's true. They will think it's true. If they hear it from you and people outside, they will think it's true. Okay? And last thing, let them help others and give. Okay? Like I said earlier, that helps build self-confidence and well. Okay? So that's my last slide. I have some resources here. Okay? By the way, if you want to, I have all these slides online. If you want them, I have the website here. Okay? You can download all my slides for this program. Okay? That I did. I have the website there. I have some other resources here. Our website, ignacyasj.org/stopbullying. There's a bullying app, by the way. If you have Android and Apple, I think it's for both. It's called No Bullying App. It was released by the Abuse and Mental Health Services. Okay, it's a very good app. It teaches everything that I said. Right? It teaches a lot. It goes even into more detail. How to talk to your kids about bullying. What to do if your kid's bullied. It's a really good app. Useful. You can download it and find out more about it. Okay. And I have some other resources that I use for this presentation. You can find out for more information. Stopbullying.gov, which is the official government website. Nobullying.com. ING is a Muslim organization. They also have some stuff on bullying. And stopoutbullying.org. And that's it. Any questions? That's all I have. Any questions? Okay, so I hope, inshallah, we won't have any bullying issues in this class, inshallah, from these parents and from your kids, inshallah. Okay, jazakallah khair for coming, inshallah. And if you have any questions, you can see me afterwards as well.
واهدني ولا تتركني يا إلهي